source of living water. Are you feeling like you're going through the fire today? Listen in. I'm going to give you some answers that will help you in that situation. Today's story is about a young man who was growing up in life, and he was about ready to make some decisions about who and what he wanted to be. And so he looked around and said, I wonder who I can speak to that could really help me. It just so happened that his family knew a blacksmith in the town. He said, the blacksmith works with steel and creates beautiful pieces of art. I'm going to talk to him because surely he has some insight on how I can grow up and become a strong, important part of society. So the young man called the blacksmith and said, hey, I'd like to come talk to you. And the blacksmith said, sure, son, come on. The young man went to the shop and he told the blacksmith what he was thinking about and what he wanted to do. And he said, do you think you can help me? And the blacksmith said, absolutely, I can help you. He put on some fire protective gear so he could go into the shop, and he said, come on, I'm going to show you something very important that will help you answer the questions. The blacksmith handed him a cold piece of steel and put it in his hand. It didn't look like much. It surely wasn't pretty. He said, now I'm going to show you what can be done with this piece of steel. And when we go through the process, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'd like for you to answer them like you were this piece of steel. Can you do that? And the young man said, yes, sir, I can do that. So the blacksmith said, all right, here we go. The blacksmith grabbed another piece of steel and he shoved it in the fire, and he turned around at the young man and he said, what are you feeling? And the young man said, well, why would you shove me in the fire? That's going to be very hot and that could hurt. And the blacksmith said, you see, son, it's the heat. You need the fire to be able to melt the steel, to get it in a position where it can be malleable and I'm able to do something with it. The young man said, okay, I understand. It takes fire to mold things, to make them where they can break their hardness. And the blacksmith said, yes, that's correct. The blacksmith turned the piece of steel over and over until it was glowing red hot, and he took it out, he put it on the anvil, took a big hammer and began to hammer on it. He looked at the young man's eyes got really big, and he said, well, if I was the piece of steel, I'd say, why are you hitting me with the hammer? You just took me out of the fire and now you're hitting me with the hammer. And the blacksmith said, yes, you're right. For you see, once the steel is hot, it's only the constant blows of the hammer that can mold it and shape it and bend it into what it needs to be. And the young man said, okay, I understand. The blacksmith continued putting in the fire, pulling out, hammering. The young man was watching and saying, man, it sure does take going through a lot to create something. And the blacksmith said, you're right. And about that time, the blacksmith pulled that piece of steel out of the fire and he shoved it in cold water. And steam began to go everywhere and hissing was heard. And the young man said, whoa, wait. Why would you shock the piece of steel like that? And the blacksmith said, well, you see, son, once I get the steel soft and I shape it and mold it and create it to what I want it to be, then it takes that cold water, it takes the shock of that steel to make it harden again. Because once I get it where I want it to be, I don't want the shape to change. The young man said, okay, I think I'm starting to understand. So you take the piece of steel, you put it in the fire to get it soft. Then you take the hammer and you hammer the piece of steel to make it become what you want it to be. And then when you get it how you want it, you put it in the cold water and it hardens it again. And the blacksmith said, he looked at the young man and he said, "You're right. Do you understand how that can be in life?" And the young man said, "Well, I'm not exactly sure. Could you tell me?" And the blacksmith said, "Well, you see, there are situations that will come in life. They may feel like fire. They may feel like there's nowhere to turn. And sometimes, even in the midst of that fire, it will feel like things are hammering against you. It will hurt. But in the end, if you stay true, you will come out with something beautiful. You see, if I stopped the process, nothing would have changed. But if I continue on in the process, keep molding, shaping, putting in the fire, hammering, when it's all said and done, there will be a beautiful piece of art that will stand the test of time. He asked the young man, he said, "Do you understand?" The young man said, "Yes, sir, I do." About that time, the blacksmith pulled up out of the water a beautifully designed piece of art that he had created out of the steel. It was strong, it was shining, it was beautiful, and it will stand the test of time. So you see, my friend, you may feel like you're going through the fire right now. You may feel like people are hammering at you and coming against you, and you just don't know why it hurts so bad. Or today you may feel like you're in the cold water and saying, "What is going on? I've been through so much." But if you will realize, if you will not stop the process, if you will keep your eyes focused on the end goal, when you come out of the process, you, like the young man, you will be strong as steel. You will be a beautiful piece of art that has gone through the process, endured what it took to become what you wanted to be. My friend, no matter where you are in the process today, don't stop. Keep going. Keep your eyes focused on what you will become. For just like the piece of steel, when the process is over, you will have learned much. You will be strong, and you will be able to stand and make a major impact in the world in which we live. Thank you for listening to Layers of Living Water this week. If you know somebody that needs this, please share this video with them, and make sure you come back each and every week as we study life lessons, as we learn how we can grow, how we can be strong like that piece of steel, how we can endure the circumstances and come out on top.